Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Jeremy Birmingham. This is another episode of Birminology. Today, we are talking with Ohio State 2023 defensive line commitment Jason Moore, one of the country's top-ranked interior defensive linemen, and a player that I think Ohio State fans don't know a lot about. So we're going to try to fix that today by getting a chance to break things down with Jason on his recruitment, his commitment, and what's next for him. Let's get to it. Jason Moore joining us now. Jason, thank you for taking the time on this beautiful weekend. How has your senior season, been going for you out at DeMatha Catholic?
It's been going great so far. We started the season off with a loss, but ever since we've been winning. 5-game win streak. Our defense, really doing really well. We only allowed 3 points since the first game, so I know we definitely getting better every day, every week. The team really coming together. I'm getting better, each and every week. So can't get any better than that.
I want to start, if we can, with the position you play in high school. At Rivals.com, we've got you listed as the number one ranked defensive tackle in the country. You're about 6'5", 270 or so. I mean, that's you're maybe leaning towards the heavy side of defensive end, but it's a new era of football, right? I mean, you have guys that can play all the spots. Where do you see yourself best fitting into Larry Johnson's defensive line rotation?
I say either the strong side end or also the 3-tech. I've been starting to play a lot of inside this season, so I started playing 3-tech instead of just in. So I've been getting a lot of reps going inside, so getting really better at that. So I feel like 3-tech, and if needed, go to strong side in.
Is that how different for a person who's never played football before? How different is that when you're on the end and it's lined up just you versus a tackle or maybe a tight end, or you at the 3-tech where you're having guys, bouncing on you from both sides? I mean, how much different is that? And do you feel like you like it better? I mean, what is it about? What do you find appealing about either spot?
For me, I say the main difference for me that I realize is that at end, everything happens a little slower. You inside, as soon as the ball snaps, it's instant contact right there. So everything kind of happens really fast. So that's kind of something you really got to adapt to. But I know as the season went along, I've been loving playing inside, just being quick. I'm using my arm length. It's real easy for me to keep the guard away. So I've been getting real used to playing inside. So I say definitely playing inside is really fun for me.
So as you go to visit Ohio State, you were there last for the September 3rd game against Notre Dame. You're watching the Buckeyes. You're seeing JT Tuimoloau playing similar body style as yours, playing on the strong side. You're watching guys like Michael Hall tearing it up inside. Do you get a sense of what you'd be asked to do there? I don't know how much time you've actually had where you could sit down and talk to Larry Johnson and go over Ohio State film, but do you see exactly the role for you there?
I definitely see it because I know since that first game, I've definitely been watching a lot more. I was able to see, the new defensive coordinator came in, so you didn't really know what to expect. The D-line, so after seeing, their different fronts and styles and how they play, it's definitely kind of similar to how my school plays, which is, the 4-man front, I can see myself being that 3-tech, if they go 3-man front, bring a 3-man pressure, I'm able to step outside, also having a linebacker or even faster pass rush, line up kind of outside of you. So I feel like, after seeing all that, I can definitely see myself fitting in real well.
From a recruiting standpoint, how difficult was it, Jason, to make a decision to commit to Ohio State when you did in the summer, not knowing what the defense was going to look like once the games actually started? Because, you like a lot of guys, you're playing defensive line, so maybe there's a little bit more consistency because Larry Johnson was still there, but new defensive coordinator and Jim Knowles, new defensive backs coach and Perry Aliano and Tim Walton. I'm sure that one of the things you had to be concerned about was how is this defense going to get better? How just happy have you been to see that not only is it better, but it's now, a top 10 defense in the country and getting better every week?
No, it's definitely great to hear. During the recruitment, talking to Coach Larry Johnson, it was times where, he would tell me like what's really going on inside that you can't really say because it might give up what they're working on. So it was definitely good to kind of hear what he says. And, now the season started, you really see like what he says is really true and it's really working. So I think just hearing that, seeing that is definitely amazing, but just hearing that definitely puts a lot more trust as well, which I already got a lot for him. So it was definitely great.
You committed at the time in the summer. I was on a little bit of a work break, and so I didn't get a chance to catch up with a lot of you guys that committed this summer in this forum. So I want to take a step back and go back to that decision. It was Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame, a couple schools that are on the peripheral in that decision. What ultimately was it about Larry Johnson? What was it about Ohio State that pushed them over the top? Because most people did not think that Ohio State was going to be your choice, at least until the very end. Everyone sort of had written you off in other directions. What was it that they did on your official visit or that you felt was so like right about that fit?
I say it was so many different things. I think even before the visit, I know a lot of people didn't really think that I was considering Ohio State, but I know they was kind of high on my list already. So, but just going back to that visit, it was just being around everybody there. I've already had good connections with Coach Larry Johnson. Also, the assistant D-line coach, Cam Spence, that a lot of people don't know, but he also had a very big impact on my decision. But I say just being there, just knowing the fact that Coach Larry Johnson is one of the best ever to develop defensive linemen. I know myself, I have a lot of things to work on. And I know just working with him, the things he already been teaching me, just like speaking on the phone calls, like I'm working on it and I'm just picking up on things that he's teaching me. So just the fact that I'll be able to be with him, every day, just to see how that development would turn out is definitely great. And also just surrounding myself with other great guys. Ohio State, they bring in great guys, like the top guys in the country, every position. So it's like even your own position. Sorry. So it's like you really gotta stay on your grind, 24/7. And I feel like just doing that would definitely bring the best out of myself. So being around other great players was one of my biggest things for me. And also just being around the campus, the school. I spent time there, just walking around, just getting a feel for it. And I just got that feel, I could really see myself here for like the next 4 years. So for me, it was the best decision for me.
I'm interested in the Cam Spence dynamic. He's a guy that Larry Johnson recruited when he was coming out of high school in Maryland, where, nearby where you are. For a guy that has been recruited by Larry Johnson and Cam Spence and now coaches for him, I assume he has a unique perspective on what Larry Johnson is, what the Ohio State culture is. Have you been able to maybe pick things up that maybe you otherwise wouldn't have been able to, do you think? Or what was it about Cam's involvement that made it, push it over the top for you?
For me, it's just our connection. I've known him since I was a little baby. Him and my older brother used to play AAU basketball together. So they had a good relationship there, and our families have been close, and they're still close to this day. So I think just having him there for me, it's made me a lot more comfortable. Just knowing that, it's basically like another family member to me. Just being out there, looking out for me on the field, off the field. Just him teaching me a lot of things. He's been a lot of places. Learning. He got a lot of different jobs. Now he's settled here. So basically, just giving me life lessons and about just the little things that a lot of people wouldn't notice. So for me, that was something that I know will definitely help me in the future. Just having somebody like him on my side for these next 4 years, to kind of reach what my goals are, is going to help me.
With the Ohio State recruiting class right now, it's, by most accounts, a top 3 class in the country. It still feels like at times, though, Jason, that the class is like waiting for the next pop, right? The next big wave. And most of that big wave that is remaining has to be on the defensive line. There's 2 guys committed in that spot. There's you, there's Will Smith Jr. How much do you and Will talk? Number one, you guys are going to be competing, on the interior of their line together and side by side. But also, how comfortable are you with the idea that you may need to build relationships with Keon Keeley, with Damon Wilson, with Mateo Uyangalele? Like, do you feel a vibe with those guys? I know you spent time with all of them in the Notre Dame weekend, but
yeah. So I say, I'm comfortable with doing that, no problems. I know I spoke with Will for the first time at the Notre Dame game, We definitely hit it off. It was a great vibes. That's my boy now. So it was definitely great. I've known Keon since he was at Notre Dame. He was kind of recruiting me. So now, it kind of flipped now. So I'm on him trying to recruit him to come here. But we've had a good relationship, ever since. Just him being at Notre Dame. We've been talking a lot. Our family been talking a little bit. So the connection is definitely there. I'm definitely working on it for sure. And of course, with Dan and Mateo, I was able to speak with them at the Notre Dame game just to kind of see where their heads at. I'm not gonna be like too much pressure on them. Cause I was in their same spot, so I know I kind of feel for them. It's like I don't want kind of just like spam them,
Yeah.
like but just check up on them, see what they doing, just kind of see where they head at, see how the season going. And so like doing little things like that, kind of build a little relationship might help them. So
it's interesting. You guys all have very similar personalities. I mean, it's a group that I think you see in a lot of ways, and I'm sure you've seen this in the defensive line current guys that are at Ohio State. You notice that the personalities are all very similar to Larry Johnson's. It's not a group that's big, vocal, cocky, just a bunch of guys who know their job and are confident about it and doing it without making it about themselves. And I think that that's an interesting, byproduct of Larry Johnson's personality that oftentimes that gets overlooked in the recruiting process. You're talking about Will Smith. I mean, I'm not sure if you know much about his family legacy, and his dad was an All-American at Ohio State. On the night of the Notre Dame game, he's out there, wearing his dad's number 93 at midfield when the 20-year national championship celebration happened. You obviously coming from DeMatha, you have a little bit of a legacy, I guess, in a way for Ohio State with Chase Young's, coming out of that school. How much of a chance have you had to talk to Chase? And do you know him at all? And has he given any insight for you into what to expect out of Larry Johnson in Ohio State?
So I told Chase a lot. I was during my recruiting process. He was going through a lot with his injury. He was torn ACL, so there wasn't a lot of contact with him. And he didn't really let me know much about Ohio State. So having him wasn't really much a reason why I committed. But I just know, like, in the past, just hearing him talk about it, because we've been around each other for a very long time. So I say just hearing about him, and his family as well as mother, they all just speak highly of Coach Larry Johnson. And the main thing is he just keeps it real. Like, he keeps it 100% at all times, whether it's good or bad. And, that's what you need in your life. So for me, having a coach like that that's going to keep it real with you at all times, and he's going to want the best for you regardless, is the best thing you can ask for.
What's next for you? I mean, I know you were, again, in Columbus in September. You've been back there. You were there in April for the spring game, there in June for your official, and then in September. Do you have a plan to get back for the Michigan game? DeMatha does not allow early enrollment, correct? So you can't graduate early. So next June is when you get back there officially. But what's your plan to get back there between now and then?
Yes, yeah, so I'll be there for the game we play the team up north. So I'll definitely be in attendance for that. After that, that's a long time. Just getting ready, get ready to come in during the summer, ready to work.
From what Larry Johnson has seen of your film from junior year this year, when you guys talk, what does he say the one area he wants you to focus the most on is? What is the one thing that, Jason Moore has to improve on to get ready to contribute as a freshman at Ohio State?
I say the most, it's a lot. So, but I say the most important thing is probably, just leverage, coming off the ball, just kind of staying low. And he's been telling me that for the longest. And, he's been letting me know, like, the improvements I've been making with my leverage. And, that's something else he wants me to keep working on. Just come off the ball lower, because I'm definitely taller than most opponents. So, you always want to come off lower. And also, working hands. You let me know about that for the longest. And I'm working on it too. And we both see the improvement coming. And, we just ready to build onto it when I get on campus.
It's easier for guys that are 6'1" to talk about staying low than it is for guys who are 6'6". You know what I mean? It's a little unfair. Jason, as you start to look towards signing day and wrapping the things up, and what is the one thing about this recruiting process that you feel like it's taught you about yourself in a way that maybe you didn't know heading into this?
Tough one. I say, during this recruiting process, I learned so much, but I say just, just kind of seeing like the real in people. A lot of people in life you're going to see, they're going to tell you a lot of great things and might not keep it 100% with you. And, just recognizing those little things that people say. And, I say that was one thing I really learned. And also learned to be selfish. I know during the process I'm like I don't like being selfish. So I was kind of at first trying to make my decision based on like other people. A lot of people taught me like, this is like for you. Like nobody's going through this but yourself. I kind of learned how to kind of be a little selfish this time. So I think that was two things that really helped me, or that I learned during this process.
That's a very smart and wise answer. I try to tell a lot of kids, like, this is the one time in your life when you are allowed to be selfish, because this is a decision that impacts you. You're the one that has to be there at 5 a.m. on football workouts. You're the one that has to be, away from home. You're the one that has to deal with all the pressure of playing in front of 105,000 people every week. It's a different world. And the people that are making that decision for someone else generally end up feeling like they got the short end of the stick. So smart. You're a smart man, Jason, a smart man. Well, look, man, I'm not going to keep you much longer. I told you I'd try to keep it relatively quick. I appreciate you taking time. It's been great finally getting a chance to catch up with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No problem. That is Jason Moore. I'm Jeremy Birmingham. This has been Birminology on the podcast. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.